Well, good afternoon, folks. I'm going to work with my partner in crime and friend of the show, Scott Furlong. We're going to walk you through NCFDD and some of the services that are available through our institutional membership. Please feel free to ask questions. I'm going to walk through a PowerPoint that NCFDD has supplied to us. This is the second institution that I've worked at that is engaged with NCFDD in some form. When I worked at Center College, we didn't quite do an institutional membership. What we did is through some Mellon grant funding, facilitate some individual memberships and some of the other services through across the divisions of that college. So I've got experience working with them. There's some good resources that they have, but I will not sit here at 3 o'clock in this beautiful afternoon talk you to death. I'm going to PowerPoint you into non-existent. So let me pull this up, and like I said, please put stuff in the chat or unmute and ask questions as we go sort of along here. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Hold on, let me go. Okay. And I'm just going to set us off to the side here a little bit. All right, so let me get my view right. Boom. So NCFDD, the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity. So who are they? What do they do? A good number of you on the call have signed up for your individual sort of sub-memberships, but let's kind of walk through some of the services and things that they do. So what they do as an independent organization, non-for-profit, is they do a lot of work on professional development, training, mentoring, professional success for faculty and staff. It is really 100% focused on helping people thrive and not just in terms of success in publications and things like that, but work-life balance and other things that are important like that. And they are responsive in terms of questions and queries. And we do get a palette of services and so forth with our institutional membership. Now, there are some certain things that they provide that are not part of the institutional membership that are at a separate cost, but there's some things that as a community we could strategize around in terms of accessing those and making those available to our community and so forth. But I will keep us moving along. In terms of SUNY participation, I think, and Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're one of 3 or 4 SUNYs, maybe it's 4. It's us, Geneseo, Brockport, Old Westbury, I think, are the SUNYs that are currently members.
Yeah, I think there's a SUNY membership for the Prodigy faculty.
Yes. Yep, there's a SUNY membership for given to the Prodigy faculty as well. Yep. So a lot of their stuff is focused on helping people with the research productivity, to help them negotiate climates and spaces within departments, or to build healthy working relationships and work-life balance. Okay, so keep on moving along. What is 4 kind of parts to their model? There's a lot of content, webinars, and other things that they have around strategic planning. So they have some good programming. 2 of them that jump to the mind. One is every semester has a plan. And really that's a really good instructional set of webinars and engagements there. And some stuff around productivity. Ways to catalyze and push your productivity up in terms of writing and research and grants and other things like that. The writing boot camp that they do is really, really good, but that comes at a separate cost from the institutional membership. And then stuff on healthy relationships. They do have things that they offer regularly and things that are part of the library you can access with our institutional membership around what it is to be the only person of an identity in a academic department, about how to deal with fraud interactions or bullying within a departmental or organizational context, and things on work-life balance, which, you know, given all the pressures we've been under this past academic year and just generally in higher education, is a very good thing as well. Okay. They also do have a good peer mentorship program where you can get matched with another member. And that's a good way to, and the past engagements with this, we use that peer connection function of my past institution to create writing groups and to do some research kind of collaborative groups for folks. And some people just used it as to help expand their peer support network as well. Okay. So the Monday Motivator. This is one of the things that you can sign up for, and you can control some of the emails you get and everything else like this. But every Monday, you get a weekly email that provides tips and strategies around work-life balance and productivity and stuff like that. It's part of the core curriculum that they offer, and it's a neat little thing. So if you signed up this week, you should get your Monday Motivator next Monday. And it is worth reading, and it is a helpful and useful thing. Okay. Again, all of these things come automatically with your sub-membership under our institutional membership. Here are some of the key sort of 10 skill areas in the core curriculum. I hope people can see this. Strategic planning, explosive productivity, work-life balance, healthy relationships are the things I outlined before, but here are sort of the modules within there. So every semester needs a plan. So strategic planning in that way. Developing daily writing practice, you know. For myself, as the kind of person that I am as a writer, my writing process takes a lot of, it's like a 74, you know, Ford car. The first car I owned was a 1976 Ford Granada. And trying to start that car in an upstate winter was a series of negotiations until I eventually convinced the car to start up. And so my writing process sometimes feels like that, where it's a series of faults and fits and starts before I can actually get into a flow. Overcoming academic perfectionism, moving from resistance to writing, aligning your time with your priorities, mastering academic time management, the art of saying no, cultivate a network of mentors and sponsors, engage in healthy conflict, and manage stress and rejection, okay? And all of these things are laid out in terms of webinars that are offered throughout the year and are also part of the library of webinars that are available through NCFDD. So I'm gonna just stop for a second and just see if there's any questions about anything that I've said so far. So Zoe, you got a question. So when you choose the SUNY Prodigy as your institution, it didn't work. It asked me for your Prodigy email.
I've been working with her on this problem.
Okay. All right. So that may be, and that might have to be something we ask Ray about. And I can ask Ray to help too, because there might be a separate login for Prodigy faculty then from our negotiated contract with them as an institution is separate from the Prodigy things that SUNY system did for the Prodigy faculty. But we'll get you there, okay? But any questions anybody else has about any of this stuff so far? Okay, we will jump back in. Oops, come on now. Okay, and so here are some of the sort of guest expert webinars that they have that are part of the library and that they offer regularly that you can find both in the library that's available through NCFDD, but also topics that are kind of recurring or other things to see the kind of stuff that they are offering. Developing anti-oppressive communities, supporting Black students and mentees, resting to rise, reducing burnout, finding joy, for writing and life, and create a just academia, moving from associate to full professor, writing for a broader audience and how to convey complex ideas in clear, accessible prose. I know that they've had one, a few on book proposals and how to successfully put forward a book proposal. And so there's other resources and things available like that, both in the guest expert webinars and in the library of stuff that's available as you, once you activate, or if you have activated your membership, you can go to the top bar into library and see the webinars that are available and guest webinars in there. Okay. Multi-week courses. Okay. From project to publication, the art of manuscript revision, these kinds of things. Here's the one on book writing, writing a winning book proposal, writing science, stuff like that. NIH grants, there's other grant proposal writing multi-week courses and webinars that they do, and building a publishing pipeline, concrete strategies for increasing your productivity. Okay. Every semester's members are invited to join a 14-day writing challenge. This is one that I've got experience with and we did successfully at my past institution. It is an opportunity to create space or to really intentionally make the space to keep your writing alive and active. It's also an opportunity to experiment with daily writing with an online community. For some folks, you need those deadlines or external motivators to keep your writing process moving. And this is a good way to do so. You get encouragement in your daily dose of encouragement as a part of this. Encouragement is a good thing for writing as well. But this is something that you should look out to when the next one comes around. It is a good way to move a project forward, to test out some thoughts, to just get some writing going and things like this. And so that is available for free as part of our institutional membership. Other benefits, there's discussion forums, there's, for maybe more relevant for some of our Prodigy post or pre-doctoral fellows, things like that, or pre-doctoral fellows, dissertation success program. You can get a monthly accountability buddy. You can do those matches through them to find someone to help hold each other mutually accountable and do share writing. People in the past that I've worked with have used those to form writing groups or to form writing collectives around topics or in common interests and things like that. There is a growing webinar library that they have. And we can get priority registration for the Faculty Success Program. Those things fill up and close quickly, the Faculty Success Program, the boot camps for writing, but those things come at a separate cost from our institutional membership, right? They are in addition to what we pay as an institution, and there's some cost there that is not covered by our institutional membership for those participation in those programs. A little bit more about the Faculty Success Program, the intensive 12-week mentoring boot camp. It is connects you with a experienced faculty coach and a carefully curated small program of peer faculty to really implement and develop skills and strategies that are part of that core curriculum that we talked about. So the things about time management, the things on productivity, the things that are going to lead to success overall. Okay. So I'm going to see, I think we might have a question. I'm going to, here. So let me pull back out for a second because Pat has asked a good question. Okay. How might an individual membership be incentivized to faculty who might not join on their own besides the obvious kind of selling point of professional development and to make it this worthwhile investment for the institution? So I don't know, Scott, if you want to take a swing or.
Well, I mean, it is a good question. I think my sense on this would be it's somewhat intrinsic, and wanting to create an internal campus community. I know that a number of folks, even on the Zoom call today, have been thinking about how do we do a better job with mentoring on campus? How do we do a better job of creating community on campus? I think John and Rebecca would say that one of the things that have happened as a result of having the AQ activities is that has created a bit of a cohort of people coming together to talk about, in this case, teaching. You know, might something similar happen around work-life balance, around maintaining a research agenda, having sort of those periodic check-ins to keep and stay productive. I mean that's my initial idea without throwing money at a problem initially anyway.
So I would add to that, and I think you're right, Scott, that we still we're at the early stages of our institutional involvement, and I think there's a role for the deans to encourage people. I think there's a role for department chairs to really broadcast that out to the faculty in their departments and programs, and really encourage them to participate. Right? This is one of those things that if you were to individually just sign up by yourself, it's expensive to have just a unfunded kind of thing like that. And the opportunity that we have during this contract for people to get access to this stuff, you just don't want to miss that. Years ago, when I was working for Strong Memorial Hospital, this is way back, they had a program where you could go to any Rochester area college, take any class at the U of R for free, or take any class at any Rochester area college or university, RIT, Broadport, blah, 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 100% tuition reimbursement, 100%. And there are people that I have worked with that have been there longer at the time than I had who didn't take advantage of that. And I was just like, wow, this is just wild, because this is such an opportunity for you to upskill, to explore stuff. The costs on you are just a matter of commitment and time. And if you wanted to do this later, the cost might be prohibitive to take a course, right? And as I was trying to figure out things I wanted to do with my life, I took a course in social work. Didn't want to be a social worker. Nothing against our counseling faculty, Pam, please don't. Okay. There's other things courses that I took that I, really were just, sometimes I took stuff, Zoe, I took a course in differential equations for the fun of it, right? And I didn't have to pay for it. I was just like, this is awesome. Okay. But I did take a couple graduate courses in philosophy because I was like, I've never stopped loving philosophy despite all of its major sometimes problems. Okay. Some disciplinary kind of stuff that needs to get worked out. But that was the thing that really helped me find my pacing and say, yeah, I could actually enter into a PhD program or a graduate program and be successful. So we have these pressures on our time. We have these pressures on us as individuals. And here's a resource to help us manage stress, to help us be more productive, that's been made available. And we just really don't want to miss out on that window. So for those of you who already have bought in and have gotten accounts and are going to use the services, communicating that to other folks is really going to be vital. As much as I can talk about it, having other people who are using the services and saying, yeah, this was excellent. I got an email from someone today who was like, hey, I'm on this webinar with NCFDD. This is fantastic. I'm like, great, tell a bunch of folks. I think that's the best, among the best things that we can do. And I think there might be some messaging that we can do about this and other sorts of opportunities that we have. And I want to be clear too, that this is the NCFDD membership is it's not a panacea or anything else like this, but it is here to complement the work that John and Selt and Colts do, and so forth, in terms of the professional development and other opportunities, including this moment right now, that are part of the umbrella of work that Selt does, right? So I don't know if that answered your question, Pat. I think there's other things we could think about doing that are not under my purview to say. Some of the things like the boot camps are expensive in ways that we couldn't get a critical mass of our faculty at one time to do them because of the budgetary implications. What we did at my previous institution with those is that we had people go through those, the boot camps, writing boot camps and so forth, and they sort of train the trainer model, and so that they learned how to run it. And then they ran it on campus and ran it for years, and actually still going on. I've been gone from that institution for 3 years, and they're still using the materials that they've learned from their NCFDD participation, especially in the writing boot camp and stuff like that, to run those on campus. So any other questions? We can jump, if not, I'll jump back in. All right, folks. Oops. Oh, come on. So there is a lot of support. And I think one of the things that's good about NCFDD is that they really try to connect you into a supportive community of other members who are utilizing services and other things, and professionals that are there to help as well. It does, as part of the faculty success program, time tracking, there's individual coaching sessions, there's training, there's accountability, like keeping yourself accountability for the progress in your scholarship, in your writing, in other kinds of things that you want to develop as part of your faculty profile. And it is a good program. They do NCFDD virtual or on-campus workshops. They do come with a cost to that. That is stuff that could be explored by other bodies or things like that as a part of some of the programming that we do on campus. But those are typically come with an extra cost beyond our membership, our institutional membership. Okay. So here are some of the things that they do virtual on-campus workshops. The virtual ones are included. So I can tell you Solo Success, that is actually offered as a virtual workshop. I think there's at least a few different instantiations of that is in the library. Writing Procrastination and Resistance. A lot of these are available in the webinar library and are things virtually that are offered as free as a part of our institutional membership. Okay. There's the post-tenure Pathfinders program that really helps and focuses on working with recently tenured faculty, especially those who are alumni of the Faculty Success Program, to engage in that discovery process about okay, what's next? You got I've got tenure. What do I do now? Right? Is this a time to shift the focus of my research or teaching or both or things like that? Is this a time to shift modalities, right? To think about a change within higher ed in terms of career possibilities or things like that. But that program is there to help people think through those processes. And again, the similar modality as we see in the Faculty Success Program for the post-tenure Pathfinders. Definite support community, definite support groups and things like that, one-on-one coaching, weekly tracking and accountability tracking and things like that. So that is the basic set of services from NCFDD. There's some other materials that I can send out to folks that are just basic flyers of what they have that comes with our membership and things like that. There's some breakdown of some of the things like this that I can share with folks. But the PowerPoint covered, the array of services that are available through NCFDD. So are there any questions? Okay, do folks want to, I know some folks have, and I need to go back up and look. I can walk you through and pull up the thing that shows you how to activate your membership, except for Zoe, who we're going to have to work on a little bit on the side. But here, let me pull that up and share screen on that, and I'll show you how we do that. I'm actually going to put the link. Hopefully, this is the link. Yes, that is the join link right there. I'm going to pull up the membership activation. And I'm going to share my screen here, make that big. Okay, let's see if I can get that bigger. Okay, so to join, you click on that link that I just sent, and it will send you to this screen here. You select your institution, okay, from a drop-down menu. And SUNY Oswego is there. It's not quite alphabetical, right? But SUNY Oswego is grouped in among the SUNYs, along with Brockport and everything else, and you'll see it in the drop-down menu, okay? Once you've selected your institution, you click on Activate My Membership. You'll be then directed to a registration form, okay? Please use your institutional email address. If you use some other email address, it's just not going to register, and your registration will not, your membership will not get activated. It'll not be a good thing. But use your institutional email. The questions on the registration form, there are demographic questions that are optional, and then just some other questions and so forth on that registration form that you can fill out. And then you can just click Activate Account. Okay.
I have an additional question.
Sure, Pat.
Just in terms of, I mean, there's quite a few resources, and of the 61 people who have already joined, any number of them could, easily do separate, create a separate profile of activities, and so I'm just wondering, is there some way that your office is going to engage community or cohort like they did with AQ, where people are discussing perhaps one set of activities that they've done through the site, and there's some, I guess, some extra institutional thing that happens outside of the site itself.
So that's a great question, Pat. Okay, and no, it's not going to be my office. Don't you try to get me, Pat. But here's a great way that this could be used, right? So it is a resource for the community generally, but Colt in its planning in terms of programming could say, hey, look, what we will propose is maybe in the fall, we get a bunch of people together. We can announce it through CELT or put some stuff out there that we're all going to go through the 14-day writing challenge together, and then do some follow-up, maybe do some pre-workshop ahead of that, do the 14-day writing challenge, and do something after that. Maybe a group of us concurrent to that or at a different time, we'll all get together and do these webinars coming together, and then have discussion pods afterwards, right? So I think one of the things as we think about in alignment with our grand challenge is if we had some discussion or went through the webinar on being the only person of an identity in an academic department, and then went through that content and then did some programming on our campus level after that, based on the information that people have got and the engagement with that webinar, that's a good thing as well too, right? So there's a lot of programming opportunities that could fit in with some of the modalities that we have, and there's also an opportunity for the each school's diversity committee to look at these resources. And so, you've got active diversity committees in each of the schools to say, hey, maybe a group of folks from class, or maybe the School of Education Diversity Committee, we're gonna actually look at some pieces of this and pull some pieces and use that as part of our programming with our faculty. School of Ed has done in the summer of 2020 the one-day teach thing. I think Tiffany and Ritu are planning to do that full day teaching sort of thing again, maybe this summer, and maybe using some of the resources for NCFDD as a part of that is a possibility. So there's a lot of opportunities to do that for sure. And yes, I will be, because among the things I'm going to be doing in this kind of space that we have this summer, I'm going to be sitting down with a bunch of the chairs of the institutional diversity committees. And one of the things I'm going to say to them is, hey, let's think about how you can use NCFDD as a part of what you're planning for either this summer or for next year in terms of what the diversity committee is going to do, right? And then as Colt comes back and so forth and makes its plans, make suggestions around possibilities for programming that Colt could do around with this as well, right? Other questions and so forth.
I don't have a question. I guess I have a comment, Raman.
Yeah.
And this may be geared more to our younger faculty or newer faculty, although perhaps not. One of the things that, when I look at these resources, and I admit I haven't been through all of them by any stretch of the imagination. You've got sort of topical areas which are, very much related to either what's going on in the classroom, what's going on with your research, issues around diversity and equity issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there are also sort of almost career planning resources as well. And, I know that we often, or at least I often did, as a faculty member, showed up at work and just kind of sat down and started working without necessarily having a plan for the day or a plan for the week. And it's very easy to get sort of pulled into whatever the fire alarm is of that day and the fire drill of that day. And I know when I used to talk to new faculty, the mantra that you have to find time to write and you have to schedule time to write was very important. But, frankly, we probably need to do a better job planning all of our activities with what we do. And I think that there are some resources. I know there's some resources around those types of activities and how that planning can be successful to your own careers. We all work differently. Robin said he's a fit and got to get the car running and it's going to stop. And I've talked to other faculty who have said that if they don't have at least 4 hours at one point, they can't possibly do writing. And I'll tell you, I've always been someone who's been able to pick up writing and do it for 20 or 30 minutes and stop and do something and come back to it. And we all work differently and we all have to make sort of our plans, based on that. And at least my, goal with our institutional membership is to provide the resources, right? To at least allow people to look and see how they can fit into those resources. I do think, as Rodman and I think Pat's suggestion and Rodman is saying, is that I think there are opportunities where we can come together as community, and watch one of these webinars, if not as a group, as a Zoom group, and have a discussion, much like a book discussion, right, around a lot of these issues. And again, without picking on any one or group of people, that might be something the deans might want to do, the diversity committees may want to do, self may want to do, the provost. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities for folks to think through how they may want to use this.
Yeah. So my suggestion is for folks, if you got your membership, explore away. Definitely, you'll get some contact about whether you want the Monday Motivator. They'll actually, ping you about some other stuff. But just, take a look at some of those things, and then take a look at some of the webinars and other stuff. There's programming running already, and I think, one of the things that we can work with Wayne on, Scott, is getting some of this announced in some of our, the summer Oswego Todays and so forth. We're not going to get all of it in, but yeah, Oh, it went out to your junk, Rebecca. Okay, so yeah, you may have to add the contact for the Monday Motivator, so our aggressive junk filter doesn't get the junk filter. I'll just say this, I'm not going to bust out our junk filter. It doesn't always filter the junk. I get a lot of solicitations that I wish would just go away automatically, that I have to manually make disappear. But yeah, if it may end up in your junk folder if you haven't added it. Yeah, but it is a good thing, and so forth. And that 14-day writing challenges that comes around, that is really, really good as well. So I don't know if there's any other questions or thoughts for folks. I think that, as we roll through this sort of job season and into the next job season, one of the things that we can highlight for people that we are trying to recruit for our faculty positions is our membership that we have institutionally about this as part of our engagement with candidates for faculty positions here. We should make it known that we have this support for our faculty, and we've entered into this contract. So yeah. Our contract is 3 years, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually a series of 1 year, but it's for 3 years.
Yeah. Series of 1-year contracts for 3 years. Any other questions or thoughts, folks? And we had an onboarding meeting with the folks there, and I think if there's ideas around programming that you have, I think they're receptive to those too, in terms of sharing ideas and things like that with the folks who run NCFDD. So yeah. Well, that's all I've got, folks. Is we walked through it, showed you how to register and everything else like that. And I, to really come back to Pat's point, yes, Pat, I will be talking with a variety of people again about ways in which we could intentionally make use of this to support the work that they're currently doing in a lot of different ways. So I think it's really a good thing to be mindful of, that not only to maybe connect into our individual practice, but the roles that we have, committees that we sit on, things that we're engaged in, also think about ways to make use of this resource there as well. We want to get most out of value out of this membership. It's a really good resource. All right, so if there's nothing else, have a good afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine, and thanks again to John Kane, who before everybody got on, I saw John at 8 o'clock this morning, and we at the coming to the bookend of the day, here we are again. Sounds like a country and western song or something. So, but thanks, folks. Have a great afternoon. Take care.
Thank you.